The Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome in the east end of Glasgow was the venue for this season's Scottish Heineken Cup launch. Coaches and captains from Glasgow and Edinburgh were on hand to talk about the forthcoming matches, but inevitably the future of the competition was also in the spotlight. Scottish Rugby Chief Executive Mark Dodson.
We are great supporters of the Heineken Cup. It's a fantastic club tournament. It's the envy of the world, and we want to make sure that it stays in place. Having said that, we're prepared to talk to anybody at any place to make sure that we can resolve this situation that we currently find ourselves in.
Where are the main sticking points, do you believe, Mark, and what's the way round those sticking points?
I think the first thing we've got to do is sit around the table and negotiate properly. I think we've got to sit down and make sure that we remember that the supporters out there want us to get this thing solved, that we have to make sure that it's in the interest of everybody to resolve this matter. And as far as we're concerned, some of the sticking points that we've been accused of not wanting to move from, things like the qualification process and the financial distribution, we're prepared to talk about all of those things. And to be perfectly honest, Jim, we've been prepared to talk about those things all the way along.
So much for off the park. Looking ahead to the competition itself, Edinburgh coach Alan Solomons recognises the pedigree of the Heineken Cup.
Look, it's a fantastic competition. There are two competitions in which we participate, both excellent competition. The Pro 12 is what I would term our domestic competition, although it's played, which is fantastic in the Pro 12, it's played amongst 4 nations. The Heineken Cup is a step up from that competition for everybody, for all the participants. All 6 nations teams are represented. It is the tournament which underpins the 6 nations. Fantastic tournament, made even more brilliant by the fact that the pools change year on year, so you're playing different opponents each year. But it forms part and parcel of the season. You're playing Pro 12, and then you get a Heineken Cup game, 2 Heineken Cup games, and you go back to Pro 12. So the season just continues to flow, really.
Is this where you earn your spurs in terms of squad management? Just, you talk about those different pressures and those different competitions, and it's just, maintaining that challenge at the best level you can. Is that about good squad management?
Well, I think at this stage, Edinburgh, we're in a little bit of a different place. We are in the throes of rebuilding, and therefore it's a different emphasis and a different way that we look at our squad. To some extent, in terms of, you talk about squad management, we've had a number of injuries this season to key players. So in itself, the squad has kind of managed itself. So our situation is probably a little bit different to many other sides in this competition.
Glasgow Warriors have enjoyed a 100% record so far in the Rabo Direct Pro 12, but do preparations for Europe differ? Warriors coach Gregor Townsend.
It's like any other game in that you've got time to prepare for the opponents. 80% of the time is about doing what you believe, or we believe leads to success, and what we need to do well. 20% is what the opposition provide in terms of threats and opportunities. Now this season we have an extra day. We play Toulon on the Sunday, so we'll have an extra day's preparation. We've already got some of our injured players putting together analysis on them. Coaches have been meeting regularly to look at Toulon because it's not a team we're that familiar with. We know our RAB opponents, Exeter, we've already played in pre-season, so there'll be extra preparation going into the game, and it's just fantastic to be involved in an Heineken Cup in such a special opening match.
Well, you say the preparation's like any other game, but there must be an added frisson going into a game like this, because it's the fact it's Toulon away and you're playing in the European Cup. I mean, how much does that kind of galvanise both you and the players?
Well, there's an elevated sense of excitement, urgency, concentration that needs to be required when you're playing a stadium like Toulon with that atmosphere, with the threats they have right throughout their team, right throughout their squad of 40 players, never mind the 15 they'll have on the field. So yeah, we'll have to talk a little bit more than normal about what we expect. It's very unique when you arrive at the ground and get off a bus and have to go through thousands of supporters and the atmosphere leading into the games. And I can't wait to see our players get out there and relish it and keep their emotional control for those 80 minutes.
Edinburgh captain Greg Laidlaw tasted quarter-final success against Toulouse 2 years ago. How does that memory help in preparation for this season?
Oh, it definitely remains, and it definitely makes me hungrier to get back there and to get another good run. But also to get back up qualification in the league as well. to get up there and hopefully qualify for the playoffs. And then Heineken, as you say, it was a couple of years ago now, and I want someone else to put on top of that to maybe speak alongside it, and instead everybody reverting back to that. It's starting to get a bit annoying.
But the reason people are looking back to it is that was the most successful period for Edinburgh, and it's been disappointing since. So how important is the Heineken Cup as a way of re-establishing Edinburgh?
Very important, Jim, and the whole of the city enjoyed that run as well as we did. So it's important to sort of rethink and sort of galvanise everybody to push in the same direction. The club to get back there, start winning games, especially home games, and especially first up against Munster and Heineken Cup. The first two games are hugely important to get points on the board to make it a successful competition.
Glasgow skipper Al Kellock would love to lead his side on a successful Heineken campaign, and he maintains success in the league could help that ambition.
Well, we've got to make sure it does help us, but it'd also be a question to ask me after we've played the Scarlets. I'd love to be going into the first European game being 5 from 5 in the league. I think it would give us an enormous lift, give us that belief that we'll need going over to the champions of Europe. But even with the start we've had so far with 4 from 4, that's a big factor.
What does that do, Al, when it comes to training and to the way that the fans interact with you as well, with that success that you've had? What does it do to the club?
It gives the club a big lift. From a player's point of view, though, I suppose it's about not getting carried away. We've played 4 games so far. Yes, we've won them, but we've got to continue to win if we're going to do anything this season. So it's not getting too carried away. I spoke a lot, or I was asked a lot at the beginning of the season about the semi-finals in the Rabble, and you can't be looking at the semi-finals in the Rabble. You can't be looking at getting out your group in the Heineken. You're looking at the first couple of games in the Heineken. You're looking at the first 5 games as it splits itself nicely with the Rabble.
So the Heineken Cup set to get underway. Glasgow will travel to France to play Toulon, while Edinburgh are at home to Munster.